Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today, we're going to kind of go old school. We're going to talk about one of the things that a business absolutely, positively must have, and that's a website. And we're going to talk about some other marketing things too. But, it still amazes me when people either don't have websites, or they have something that's not a good website, or they tell me, I don't need a website. I've got a Facebook business page. So here to talk to us about how important websites really are is Ray Van Hilst. So hello, Ray. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Great. I love it. Well, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will dive into this. So Ray Van Hilst is Director of Client Results at Yoko Co., a web design and marketing agency with a mission to help organizations do good better. He works with clients to set the strategic direction for their website and online marketing by helping them get beyond the wouldn't it be great if conversations to the place of this is what we should do. He offers clients strategic consultation on web development, content strategy, creative direction, and ongoing web operations. Ray is a frequent speaker about web strategy, web operations, and marketing technology. He is also an active member of ASAE, which is the American Society of Association Executives. So again, Ray, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Great. Well, I always like to ask my guests how they got to where they are today. How did you discover that this is your passion in life?
Yeah, so I come out of the old school marketing realm, as we were chatting about before we went on the air. Worked in a marketing and PR agency. Actually, truth be told, I got my first jobs in marketing when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
Because my dad was a printer and had a printing machine in the back in the building behind, and he taught me how to set type. So I actually set type, but yes, I am that old, and then I studied advertising.
And everybody just went, Google it, folks. It's fine.
Google it. Yeah. But old school marketing, and then I went to a conference and discovered this thing about word of mouth marketing and digital marketing, and I was just hooked. It was the combination of technology and pieces that came together, and started working my way. And with the agency I was with, I became director of new media, was building those kinds of programs, and through some shifts in my career, ended up working in web strategy and building websites, and that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years.
Great.
Yeah, and what's unique about it is that because I don't come at it from the technology perspective, there's a lot of people you talk to, they learn how to code and they do that. I'm a marketer and a communications first, so I always approach my work from the marketing perspective. What is the client trying to do? And then I back end into that tech stuff.
Right.
So, and it's just
let's
enough
be
technology.
honest, we can techie make it pretty much anything we want it to do.
Exactly. I mean, I think the key is to have enough knowledge and skills to make your developers nervous, and enough knowledge and skills to set them up for success,
right?
And take the client's perspective. So, yeah.
I love it. And I mentioned that websites are so important, and absolutely critical. And it's interesting because I interviewed someone several weeks ago, and he has home services business. He actually has a garage door company, a very large, very profitable garage door company. But he consults with home services companies. And we talked about the fact that so many of those type of businesses, or a home-based business or a small business, they think, we don't need a website, and I was not joking when I said many people think, hey, we could just have a Facebook business page. So why is it important that a business, whether it's one person or 1 million, why do they need to have a website?
So let's start off from an asset perspective. Okay. If you have a website, that is your home that you own.
Okay.
And you can do whatever you want within it to
Mhm.
control your messaging and everything like that. If you're relying on Facebook and the social media, that is rented space,
Mhm.
and you're playing by their rules.
Right.
So when they decide to jack up the rates or turn
Mhm.
on or off your organic exposure, you're at their mercy, and you can no longer control what they're seeing.
Mhm.
So there's a philosophical belief that I have around that. But secondly, the fact is, your website is the first thing that a potential customer is going to engage
Mhm.
with when they decide whether or not they want to do business with
Right.
you, do they like you,
Mhm.
or even if they've met you out somewhere else
Mhm.
at an event, and they come back to verify, are you who they say, who
Mhm.
you say, are you who you say you
Mhm.
are? So it's really important to understand from that perspective that, hey, this is your opportunity to control that message.
Mhm.
It's your opportunity to do your marketing. You know, there was a quote I had in a HubSpot training where, you know, your technology is doing your marketing for you 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
So it's generating leads
Right.
while you're sleeping,
Mhm.
you know, so really controlling that piece.
Mhm.
And it's your number one business driver. It tells your
Mhm.
story. It sets up who you are. And it's really the first, it's really key to driving your business,
Mhm.
no matter what industry you're in. So,
Right.
yeah.
You know, and I love that you talk about that it's 24 hours a day, because even if, say, you're a brick and mortar place that has specific hours, you never know when somebody's going to be up at 3 in the morning researching something. Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah. You
Guilty.
know, you know, or on a weekend, or even just at, 10 p.m. or something like that. And so, having that Facebook page, that's great. But it's and I like to people, oh, but I have an autoresponder there. Well, I'm sorry, the autoresponder doesn't do diddly. And I get really annoyed if I send it a message and it doesn't respond. But yeah, your website is kind of this, as you said, your home. It's your
Sure.
home base.
Well, and it's also, if you think about it, and one of the things I always try to tell people, so if you think about the experience on a website.
Mhm.
So a lot of people, by the way, think their website is their opportunity to tell everyone about how awesome they are and how
Right.
wonderful they are, right? Look at me, woo!
Yes.
It's like the
Mhm.
Peacock website,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
Let's tell them about this. And newsflash, your website is not about you.
Right.
It's about the people that are coming to your website
Mhm.
that have a problem. So
Mhm.
let's take your garage door opener,
Mhm.
your garage door company as an example.
Right.
Probably if you were to take a look at some of the Google Analytics, if you
Mhm.
take a look at some of the data that's coming in, you would see queries like garage door repairs near me.
Mhm.
How do I fix my garage door?
Mhm.
How do I replace, how much does it cost to replace a garage
Mhm.
door? Modern garage door options, like
Mhm.
these questions that people have
Right.
that they put into Google.
Mhm.
And typically what will end up happening, if your website is working properly, you should see most of your traffic coming in on a deeper page in your site. So
Mhm.
I like to use the example of, because I've done this, how do I fix my dryer? It seems like all my friends have done that.
Mhm.
You watch a couple videos, you end
Mhm.
up on an appliance repairman's site.
Mhm.
You watch their videos, you pull the entire thing apart. Your wife comes in or her husband comes in and says, like, you haven't finished this yet.
Yes.
I've
Then you
got loads of
hire it
laundry
done.
stacking up. Can we hire? So you just go back to the same
Mhm.
site. So that's the problem. It's
Mhm.
the problem that people are trying to solve as they're coming in,
Mhm.
and it's important to architect your site around that
Right. Yeah.
reason and to be helpful, and that
Mhm.
ultimately is what's going to make someone
Mhm.
look at your site and then ultimately fill out a form,
Mhm.
pick up the phone, call, and find that information.
Right. Yeah, and the home page really is the hi, here's what we do page.
It's the
It's the yeah,
verification.
yeah, it's the page that is services.
Hmm.
Contact us, all of those things. What to you is the most important page?
So for that, take a look in your Google Analytics. And
Okay.
if for people that don't know, so with small business owners,
Mhm.
we all know Google. Google
Mhm.
has an analytics package.
Right.
Talk
And
to
there
the
are
person
other
who uses
guys, but
websites.
there's
There's other
Google.
sides, but
Mhm.
Google's free, and
Mhm.
that's a good reason to use
Mhm.
that. And install that in your site. You can actually
Mhm.
take a look at what people are doing on your site.
Mhm.
Um, there's a report within Google Analytics that lists your top landing page. Well, it lists
Mhm.
all the landing pages, and that's
Right.
what page do people see first.
Mhm.
And we work with our clients. Let's optimize those top 10 pages.
Mhm.
Those are actually the most important pages, and
Mhm.
then your home page.
Right.
So if someone were to come to your site, pull up that page. If that's the first page someone sees in your site, is that helpful? Do they know who you are?
Mhm.
Do you have a next step planned in the journey? So if they get stuck on the dryer repair, do you have a need more help? Click
Mhm.
here.
Right.
Think about that next
Mhm.
step.
Mhm.
I always say, read my resources is not
Mhm.
an action.
No.
So make that ask
Mhm.
on this page. So those
Mhm.
are really the most important pages to
Mhm.
focus on, and then the home page.
Right. And I have to say, I love that you talk about multiple pages in a website. That it was a trend several years ago where it was one page. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you scrolled and you scrolled and you scrolled and usually contact us was the very bottom of the page.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you might be able to jump around on the page. It might have kind of a faux menu that popped you in other places. But I hated those long scrolly things. And what was even worse was when I was on here
Oh
trying to do
yeah.
it,
Oh
and then I go too far.
yeah. I think that's one of the things to take a look at,
Mhm.
and one of the things that we work on is whatever that call to action
Mhm.
is. Make sure that it's in an appropriate place
Right.
based on what someone is doing when they're coming to the site.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to move it around and test it.
Right.
If you're not getting enough clicks or touches,
Mhm.
look at that. And to your point about
Mhm.
looking at something on your phone,
Mhm.
stop and that by the way is another report within
Mhm.
Google Analytics, how
Mhm.
much your traffic is on mobile or
Right.
desktop. But
Mhm.
it also kind of depends on what your business is.
Mhm.
So, pre-COVID days, we would be ootin' a boot and we're out and like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
looking for a
Right. So
restaurant
we're
near
doing
me.
a
So
lot of stuff
we were
on
doing a
mobile.
lot now. We've
Mhm.
actually seen we've seen traffic increasing on desktop computers,
Hmm.
but you still have people like those in the moment needs
Mhm.
and queries
Mhm.
that people are doing on their phones
Right. Right.
or in
They're
the
sitting there watching TV. They're talking to somebody, and it's like, wait, let me. Or as my husband says, get your computer, which he
yeah.
means my smartphone. Well, his is sitting there next to him, so but yeah, get your computer and look up XYZ.
Yeah, and so if your traffic is if your web traffic is coming in the
Mm-hmm.
evening while people are watching TV, you
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you're thinking about that mobile experience
Mm-hmm.
versus a desktop
Right.
experience.
Right.
What does that look like, and what are
Mm-hmm.
people doing? And keep in mind, every scroll on a desktop
Mm-hmm.
is 10 scrolls on your
Mm-hmm.
phone.
Right.
So if you've buried that contact us
Mm-hmm.
way down on the page, people just aren't going to get to it.
Right. Right. Yeah. We all say that, we have the attention span of a gnat. I think a gnat has a bigger attention span than most people.
It is the data is the
Was it
average
the
website
goldfish?
visit
Mm-hmm.
is 10 seconds
Mm-hmm.
across the entire internet. So
Right.
that means actually sitting and reading an article
Mm-hmm.
is of something important that you pulled up
Mm-hmm.
is maybe 10 seconds.
Right.
I watch my kids
Mm-hmm.
use the internet. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they're
Oh yeah.
about so
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't even remember what site it was that I went to, but I clicked on a link from Facebook and it looked like oh, hey, this is going to be a cool story. And I'm very careful about what I click on Facebook because you can get off in all sorts of trouble and things like that. But this, and so I get there, it's a video. I'm thinking, oh, cool. It was 18 minutes long.
oh,
I made it through maybe 45 seconds.
yeah.
And of course the bad part was it was exactly what you were saying about a website. The first part of it was fluff and setting it up and doing all of those things. Well, I wanted to know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I tried moving the little scroll bar at the bottom to see if I could get no. And so then I was gone. I did not watch the video. And it was probably a pretty cool video. I mean, it got me there in the first place, but it was like, no, I've got better things to do with my time.
Yeah, we see time and time again within our clients that when a website is built
Mm-hmm.
and the content is set up to
Mm-hmm.
answer the core questions of why someone is coming to a business or an
Right.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
focus on those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We will actually see not only people come in, we'll see the bounce rates.
Right.
Bounce rates, for those of you that don't
Mm-hmm.
know, I equate that to when you go window shopping, you're in the
Mm-hmm.
mall,
Right.
and you walk
How long
into
do
a
you stay?
you walk into a store, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm going to go to the next store. So it's someone that comes into the
Mm-hmm.
into the page and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So when we architect and build pages off of the user needs,
Mm-hmm.
bounce rates go down, time on site goes up, and
Mm-hmm.
pages per visit go up.
Right.
So really is thinking about who's coming to your site,
Mm-hmm.
what questions do they have, what
Mm-hmm.
problems are they trying to solve, and address those questions for them and
Mm-hmm.
speak to them immediately,
Mhm.
and then convert, and
Right.
then give that next
Mhm.
path.
Right. Yeah, because again, we get bored. We want that information right now.
And all you have to do
And
is hit the back
especially if we
button.
Googled and had a list, because
Yeah.
it's like this one, did it.
Yep. I mean, all you have to do is, so, I mean, if you click on the wrong link nowadays, it's not like you can lose an arm or a finger, for
Right.
clicking on the wrong link. You hit a back button. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, I wasted a nanosecond looking at
Mhm.
a bad site.
Mhm.
So that conversion, and it does really. That's why I say it's not about you. It's
Mhm.
about the people coming to
Right.
your site.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a complicated website. And I think that's why so many people think I'm not going to do it. Because first of all, they think it's got to be 50 pages long. Well,
Mm-hmm.
most websites are not 50 pages long anymore. Or if they are like obviously the one for our podcast
Mm-hmm.
has, over 600 pages
Mm-hmm.
because we have a page per show.
Mm-hmm.
That's really unusual. My other business sites have maybe 10 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you say back to the garage door guy. I mean, he probably doesn't need more than maybe 5 pages. If you're a speaker, you might not need more than 5 pages. If you're a restaurant, you might not need more than 5 pages,
Yep.
all these various things. But again, it's what is the user looking for?
Right.
I love it when I go in and I can't find something, like, what's your address? Where are you? It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
I'm on the desktop or on my mobile phone. If I can't figure out right away where you are, no, I'm gone.
And that, yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, that's table stakes to me. But that
mhm,
that has to be in the footer of your
mhm.
site.
Yep.
I think that the challenges are what I'd advise for people to do when you're trying to figure that out.
Mhm.
And we do a lot of work with this. Is we develop what are called user personas. I
Yep.
don't know if
Mhm.
you
Oh
you
yes, those
yeah,
good old avatars.
the
Mhm,
avatars,
mhm,
and it's a and one of the things, and what I have found, and I don't know if you've experienced as well, if you ask someone how they think most people use the internet,
mhm.
they will respond the way they use the internet.
Right. Mhm,
Now, as a self-professed web dork, I watch how people use the
mhm.
internet, and I recognize it. I'm a little different.
Right.
I'm here in my home office. I
Mhm,
have gigabit
mhm,
fiber internet.
mhm,
I'm online all day long. That's very different from a
mhm,
construction worker, a nurse, a
mhm,
student, etc. So it's really important when you think about who you're talking
mhm,
to and who your audiences are. Get outside of
mhm,
yourself. Go
mhm,
talk to them. Find out like what information they're looking for. Build that, and then
mhm,
whenever you're getting ready to work on your website, go pull that data up
mhm.
to make sure you're satisfying their needs.
Right.
And I could go on for an hour about how to do personas, but that's really
Mhm,
key to make sure that you're taking your own biases out of the
mhm.
process
Right.
and you're putting your customers and
Mhm.
your users first.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, because and it's always interesting when we do that because it is almost always different than what we think.
Mm-hmm.
Because we think, oh, they're going to go and they're going to research a lot, or they're looking for X, and they're like, no, I just need to know how to fix my garage door at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about your 500 reviews. I just want to fix my garage door at 2 a.m. Now it's nice to know you have 500 reviews, but back to I want my garage door fixed at 2 a.m.
So that's a great point. That one of the things we talk about within our clients is when you're looking at your content,
Mm-hmm.
this discussion between your customer and your website or your
Mm-hmm.
user and your website is a conversation
Right.
that is going to evolve over
Mm-hmm.
time, and we call it a conversation spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
which ranges from, and we've defined these stages: oblivious, curious, intrigued, invested, and curious.
Mm-hmm.
So oblivious is, you know, my garage door is broken. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
or let's take the real world situation that's happening with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
My power is out
Right.
on one of my circuits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I Google, power is out. What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, might be I
Flip the
might need to.
breaker.
I flipped the breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did that part. So I'm still oblivious because that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
it. So I might need to get a circuit replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something I can do on my own? No, I
Mm-hmm.
probably need to find an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm moving at oblivious, curious. Okay, I need to find I'm intrigued. I need to find an electrician. I
Mm-hmm.
take a look at an electrician's website. Is this electrician recommended? Do I,
Mm-hmm.
do they have reviews on
Right.
Home Advisor?
Mm-hmm.
But I came in off of one of my circuits is not working in
Mm-hmm.
my house.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? that information, as you start going down in the
Mhm.
process, as someone vets
Mhm.
multiple businesses, they're going to look for different information at different
Right.
points.
Mhm.
Once they get down to the I'm looking at your reviews and your
Mhm.
testimonials, you're deeper into the sales
Mhm.
process.
Right. They've pretty much decided they're going to go with you. They need confirmation they made the right decision.
Exactly. But if you haven't answered that stuff up top, if you
Mhm.
haven't been helpful, they're not going to even stick around to click to that
Mhm.
information such as that. So
Right.
that's, that's really key to think that
Mhm.
through and to map. And that's why you might need, some different pages,
Mhm. Right.
why to buy, our
Mhm.
testimonials, our reviews and stuff like that.
Right. It's interesting. I don't like designing websites. I have several that I do, but but I always tell people one of the best things to do is go to your competitors' websites.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing now? Never ever steal their copy or their content or anything like that. But you can
You
rephrase.
can rephrase. There
Yeah,
we
I
go.
mean, if you see that there's, yeah, you shouldn't word for word
Word
anything
for word.
unless
Yeah,
it's
don't do
such a
that.
generic statement that, it's not a big deal. But yeah, you can see what are people asking? How are they setting things up? Especially if they have like a FAQ page or, all of those various things. And you should always be researching your competitors. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of one of those things. But keywords, talk to us about keywords. Why are, and I'm, from the old school, when you put in keywords, you hard coded them
Yeah.
in,
Yeah. Don't even do that.
WordPress didn't exist, all those various things, and people cheated.
Yes.
They put their competitor names in there. So if you were a small mom and pop grocery store, you put Walmart in your keywords. Now, of course, you can't do that anymore. The big site says, no, that's cheating. But what are keywords and why are they so important?
So ultimately, so Google doesn't even use the keywords function anymore.
Mhm.
It doesn't use categories.
Right.
So ultimately, when you have your website,
Mhm.
and this is why it's important to go do research
Mhm.
and talk to people and look at some of the data.
Mhm.
Google is only going to show your site based on the content you have in your
Right.
site, the
Mhm.
headlines, the body copy, the
Mhm.
things like that. So as I like to say, if you're a brewery,
Mhm.
you are never going to show up in a search for wine.
Right.
But if you have beer and wine,
Mhm.
you need to mention that wine.
Right.
So it's a matter of thinking about what it is you do.
Mhm.
And a really big thing is and this is why it's important, let's go back up to that oblivious.
Mhm.
People might not know what those things are. Like
Right.
I could jargon drop for the next hour and a
Mhm.
half and confuse the heck out of you. And
Mhm.
that's not going to bring you
Right.
users in. That's not going to bring in
Mhm.
new customers. So that's why, busted circuit, electrical
Mhm.
circuit, like
Mhm.
that's a search.
Right.
That's a search I did. There's
Mhm.
probably some technical term that an electrician will be like, oh yeah, what's a blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And you should probably have that somewhere in your site, but busted
No,
circuit is the
busted
key.
circuit, busted electrical circuit is
Mhm.
going to be the first thing.
Mhm.
How to fix a dryer.
Mhm.
And literally like some of those questions like that
Mhm.
work really well.
Right.
So it's important when you have those kinds, depending on your service, like
Mhm.
look at the kinds of things that people would be searching for.
Mhm.
Look for the kinds of content that people will be coming in for, and then build a page around that.
Right.
And make sure those words
Mhm.
are in your website. So
Right.
for example, like dryer,
Mhm.
how to fix, you know, 5 easy ways to fix your dryer.
Mhm.
Okay, that might be a good article or a page that you
Mhm.
have on your site, or fix your dryer by yourself.
Right. But that's not what I'm going to type in.
Right, but it's the phrase of, because you have the
Mhm.
phrasing in there, how to fix a dryer.
Mhm.
And I think the important thing to remember, like as you mentioned, putting those keywords in and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And a lot of people get frustrated because Google's like, oh, they changed the algorithm again. Oh, they've done this, they've done that.
And it's called hummingbird or
It's
aardvark
hummingbird.
or
Here's my general rule of thumb, and people that do SEO for a living might disagree with me a little bit on this, but this is my general philosophy. Google's changes in the algorithms
Mhm.
are all about delivering the most relevant results.
Right.
And they're always going to deliver, they're tweaking their algorithms
Mhm.
to surface the most relevant and helpful results.
Mhm.
So if, as you look at your content, you try to be you do your best to be relevant and
Mhm.
helpful and use the right terms,
Mhm.
your content will move up within Google.
Right.
Now, If you're a local business, there are some other things you want to do along with that. Like you want to make sure you include your locations, set up Google My, go ahead and register your business with Google My Business. Include, like I said, include those locations on your website, have pages with those terms, have those words within them. That's going to make a difference. The next thing you want to do from that piece is, once you think about your content, is look at on the page the metadata. So there's the title tag, which is what shows up at the top of the browser, and the description tag. And almost most small businesses are going to be using WordPress. So I'll tell you right now, there's a plugin called Yoast SEO. I highly recommend that plugin. Put that in there, and you can define in that your title tag and your description tag. What those do is basically that when your site comes up in Google search engine results page, it says show this title and show this description. It's not determining where you end up on the page on that, but you start marketing to your users from that page before they ever get to your site. So make sure it's a good title tag that's descriptive of like 5 ways to fix your dryer. Here's our how-to guides as you go through that. That's a little detail to think about within your SEO as you do that, but it makes a big difference on your click-through rates and your search engine results. And then, like I said, going back to your point about keywords, look in your analytics, talk to people, get outside your head, search for your competitors. What are they doing? What are they saying?
And just keep in mind, say if you go to a networking thing and you say, "Hi, I'm Deb Creer and I do X." What do people say? Are they asking you questions about it? All of those things, because that's exactly what they're going to type into the search engines. And that's where Facebook pages and things like that are good, because people are probably going to ask questions there. They're going to say, what does this mean? Are you open these hours? All of those things. If they're asking it there, it should be addressed on your website, because there's nothing unique. If one person wonders it, multiple people wonder it.
Good way to think about it is look at the Google autocomplete.
Oh yeah, I love those.
So do that. So by the way, one of my favorite tools is a website called keywordshitter.com. Okay. And basically what it is if you put a query in, you start a query, a search, it goes to Google and it does all the autocompletes. And you'll actually have to tell it to stop after like 200 terms, but it'll find like all the things that people would be looking for. But yeah, there's some good tools out there. Like there's some good SEO tools. If you're a small business, moz.com has some really good small business tools. It will analyze are you set up for local search? Do you have your Google My Business set up? Things like that are really important to do.
I think you've mentioned it a couple of times, Google My Business. And I think so many people don't realize that especially if they have a physical location, they've absolutely got to be there, because that's what drives Google Maps.
Yes.
But I have Google My Business, even though, and now the nice thing is Google finally got smart and realized there are a lot of people who home office and they don't want their address listed. And so they've now taken that feature. It's on or off. But yeah, that's a great place. And you're playing Google's game by doing it. It's free. It's
free. Well, and I think the thing to remember for people, so, we talk about the website and we like how and we're ultimately playing Google's game. One of the things to remember is that Google is trying to serve up the best results on the Google page and keep you there without getting to your website. But now keep in mind, the information they put on the page comes from your website. So if you don't have a website, they don't have information to put there. So it's that catch-22.
Right.
But people may, and I do it as well, looking for businesses near me. There was, I sold my 15-year-old Pontiac last week.
Oh.
And it was my kid's car. If it was going to fail inspection, I was like, time to get rid of it. But I sold it to WeBuyAnyCar.com. Which I found through a Google search, and I read the Google reviews. So once you have your Google My Business set up, then make sure ask for reviews, update the information, upload photos. That's your real estate where Google is trying to make it better. as you do that. And you actually find that if you curate that content within
Mhm.
Google My Business, you will see your position go
Mhm.
up within there.
Right, right. And it doesn't have to be a physical business, like we were saying.
No.
It can be consulting, it can be service, all of those various things.
Yeah. Yeah. Therapists,
Mhm.
I'm helping a friend of mine who's a therapist set up her private practice site. So, now because of HIPAA and stuff like
Right.
that,
It
like
gets a little tricky.
she's still location based.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's location, but even nowadays, like most therapists are seeing
Mhm.
people through
Virtually.
Zoom like this.
Right.
But getting that information in there and
Mhm.
claiming it and building out the information on your
Mhm.
page as well.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always wonder about is how often should you update your site? And I'm not talking about a blog post because
Mhm.
I've had people who've said, "Oh yeah, if you blog every week, Google goes, "Oh, we love you." Eh, how often should you update the whole site?
So it really depends on your business,
Mhm.
your landscape, and then also partially your tech stack.
Okay.
And this is I'm gonna get a little techie.
Okay.
So once upon a time, if you wanted a website, you went out and you
You
hired a
hired
developer.
somebody who coded,
You
and
hired
it was
someone
like
who
they spoke
coded.
a different language.
They spoke a different language, so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And depending on the size of your business, and the complexity of what you need,
Mhm.
you still do that. I mean,
Mhm.
so our company does 99% of our work in WordPress, which is
Mhm.
the number one CMS on the market
Right.
or in the industry. But they, like you said, they spoke a different language,
Mhm.
and even the developers that did WordPress back in the days, like they would do weird things like hard code it, so you had to call them up to make a change.
Right. Yeah.
That's,
You wanted to change. You didn't want
yeah,
that word bold anymore.
that's just being an asshole, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
pardon my language, but so what becomes important is nowadays when you're building your website,
Mhm.
if any of you is about to take that project on, you want to think about flexibility
Mhm.
and being future ready,
Right.
that you can update and stay with those tools.
Mhm.
So and stay current. From a look and feel perspective, um, most people will refresh their website about every 2 years.
Okay.
Give it a new look, move
Mhm.
some things around as you're doing that.
Mhm.
And if that's all you do and it's working for you, that's great.
Mhm.
I actually recommend, if you're using your website, I mean, keep in mind, your website is your salesperson that doesn't
Mhm.
take a nap and never takes a coffee break
Mhm.
and is always there working for you. If your website's your number one tool,
Mhm.
you want to be using it updating it on a
Mhm.
regular basis. So look at, is your website converting for you?
Mhm.
Are people filling out the lead forms?
Mhm.
Are they looking at the information you have? And I think in the pacing of most businesses, that's something to take a look at
Mhm.
quarterly and then make some tweaks and
Mhm.
adjustments on. And you'll find that, so one of the things that happens, I'm sure you've been through this, the process of what happens when someone builds a website is, I'm going to spend a whole lot of time and effort and money on building a website.
Mhm.
It's going to launch. It's going to be kumbaya. We're going to
Right.
love it.
Ah.
I'm going to leave it alone for 2 years.
Mhm.
I'm going to complain about it that it stopped working and now it's ugly.
Mhm.
I'm going to go fire that developer. I'm going to go hire someone else. I'm going
Ah.
to do it all again.
Mhm. And go,
I'll be kumbaya.
ah.
It's a perpetual circle, right?
Mhm.
Which, it just gives you a hairline like this. What's better is to sit down with your
Mhm.
web partner and say, okay, let's do some of these progressive
Mhm.
enhancements. Let's look at the data every quarter,
Right.
every 6 months, every
Mhm.
year. How can we make those tweaks?
Mhm.
And what you'll find, actually, you will extend at that point the life of your site out
Mhm.
to 4 to 5 years.
Right.
Or some of our clients, we get to 7
Mhm.
years. So it's just, if you commit to those progressive enhancements, you don't have to blow it up and start
Mhm.
all over again every 2 years.
Right.
You just make those changes.
Mhm.
Now, you're talking about for some of the small businesses, which we mentioned, hiring a developer. I am going to put a plug-in out there. Depending on your business, I do think the tools like Weebly and
Mhm.
Squarespace and Wix, those build your own, they're pretty good tools.
Mhm.
And they've gotten a lot better. They used to be kind of meh.
Mhm.
They've gotten a lot better, but it's good to, take a look at some of them
Mhm.
depending on
It's a
your
good
need.
place to start.
It really is.
Mhm.
It really is. I've helped friends with coffee shops,
Mhm.
like I said, therapists,
Mhm.
restaurants. That's really all they
Right.
don't need.
Mhm.
They don't need a WordPress
Mhm.
site or a big content management
Right.
system.
Right. And when I design a site for somebody, my goal is that I design it, I work with them obviously to get what they want, and then I turn it over to them and they maintain it.
Yep.
And that's the cool thing about WordPress.
Yes.
And using themes and all these various things and a variety of, paid things and free things. And that all depends on what you're doing on the site. But, I don't want to be in the business of going in and updating somebody's holiday hours. They should be able to do that themselves. And now if they break it, they can come back to me and say, okay, I don't know what to do, and then maybe I can fix it. If not, I have other people that I call, and say, okay, this is what's happening, what's going on here. But that is kind of the cool thing is, I've seen the evolution of people had to do the hard coding and, and all those things. And now it really is almost, it is cut and paste. It's like creating Word documents, and or PowerPoint presentations, if you wanted to think of it more visual. And that's the great thing. Now, that said, there are obviously times to be working with professionals, whether it's the initial site design, whether, and obviously, simple sites, probably not, but if you've got e-commerce, if you've got some complicated things in there, you probably want to start with somebody who knows what they're doing and get it set up that way.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to work with someone. So there's two pieces. There's the technical components.
Right.
Because, there's the getting it on a server, making it run well, a pleasant experience and things like that. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that are changing and updating and things like that. So it is worthwhile. Our company, we host and manage over 200 client sites. So we're constantly taking a look at things and making sure everything's running. We have everything updated for peak performance and things like that. That's just part of the functional things that you do with that. But I think the other thing is important is to have someone that looks at the business along with you and matches the web strategy to the business.
Right.
So, someone says, oh, I need e-commerce. We're like, well, how much e-commerce?
Right.
How much are you going to drive through e-commerce if all your sales are still going to be walk up, or lead generation, or do I need marketing automation and things like that? So looking at that business of how you acquire customers and matching the website piece to that discovery piece is important there as well.
I worked for an agency years ago, and we had a client that we were working with who was probably half the age of all of the employees. And he was one of those people and this was when we still really used fax machines. And we would come in the morning and there'd be just pages of, and because he would just cut and he'd go and he'd like, I like this on this website. I like this on this website. I remember one day we had 72 pages, and, and it was like, okay, first of all, that's not what you contracted with us to do. We can do it, but it's going to cost you a whole lot more. But he wanted every new whistle, every new bell, everything. And we kept telling him, you don't need that. Just because you think it's cool. Yeah, and Flash. Flash was one of those things. Everybody wanted Flash. No, nobody really wanted Flash. But yeah, we told him, just because you think it's cool doesn't mean everybody else does. And we eventually got fired because we wouldn't make it do what he wanted it to do. And the funny thing was, it didn't last a year. And we just really wanted to call and go.
Yeah, it's sometimes, the bells and whistles, depending on the site, are nice.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, just keep it simple.
Right.
It's you don't people don't have time to be distracted. They're going to click. It is a step on the journey to purchase. So provide that information and do what's right. Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah. And that's where from our side, the agency side, we do pretty detailed contracts that say we will do X, Y, and Z for X number of dollars. And that even gets down to, how many pages, you're going to write the content, we're going to do this. All those various things. And then if you want A, B, and C, that will cost you X. And it's in the old, this, but this is for somebody else who might be listening or watching. It's that old term called scope Creep.
Yep. Yep. Well, and I think the important thing for your viewers and listeners to keep in mind that if you're evaluating two firms based on cost,
Mm-hmm.
you have the wrong metrics.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, we're never going to be the cheapest. Like
Right.
I could outsource designing your website to India and get it done fast and cheap, and it's going to be a piece of crap.
Right.
But it's really important to look at the value that you get out of investing in this when you're talking to a web partner. And it's funny that you say that, because we actually price when and we do a lot of work with nonprofits and associations as well as businesses. And the clients think they want X. And I kind of go in like, I think you might need X plus Y.
Right.
And then I get into discovery. I'm like, oh, you need X, Y, and Z. So we actually, for the most part, we try to price and do our scopes. So I have that wiggle room to do it.
Yeah, because you don't want to go in and say, we need more money.
Yeah, I don't want to come in and do more money. I'm like, okay, let's do it right and give you a quality product.
Right.
So that you're satisfied at the end. And then the other thing that we tell our clients all the time, I think this is really important for people when you're engaging a web firm, is that you're hiring us because we're experts in digital marketing. I'm not an expert in your business.
Right.
So trust my expertise in what I do. I'm going to trust the expertise in what you do. And when we get that overlap in that Venn diagram, that's where really amazing stuff happens.
Right.
When you have that collaborative trust, that's where awesome things happen. And it happens time and time again with our clients. And we work with such amazing groups. And what's interesting, what's fun about our team is we get passionate about what our clients do. And they'll start going with us. And to the point, like, our team will be up at 10 o'clock at night working on a client site just because we want to get it done and we want it to be right. It's.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about what you do, what your company does, because I've got your website open and we talked about the fact that it's, let's see, what did I say? Do good, better. And those are two sentences, folks. And so, I was looking at your website and I love this because you work with companies, everybody needs to make money. That's just kind of the overall thing. We all have to make money, even if we're a little bitty nonprofit. You still have bills that you have to pay and things like that. But you like to work with companies that have a profit, but a purpose. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So, and this is before I joined the company. Chris Yoko is the Yoko of Yoko CO. And a few years ago, they were looking at the clients that they work with and realized that the clients that they felt, the team felt most aligned with, were the ones who are making a positive impact on the world, a positive impact on society. And those were the ones that aligned with their values. And everyone that's come on board, when I first met Chris, I was like, yep, you had me at hello. And so we work with organizations, as we say, are motivated with a mission beyond profit. How are you making the world a better place?
Right.
So that includes, a number of nonprofits. We just launched a new website for Friends of Homeless Animals, foha.org. We give them a very nice discount because, quite frankly, we're all animal lovers.
Yes, and everybody went, oh.
Yeah, and everyone went, oh, and so forth. We work with associations. I've been doing a lot. I mentioned ASAE. Yes, there's literally an association for associations.
Everything.
But associations, when you think about it, the role that they have, they're the ones that are making sure your doctors are trained, things are being safe in the industry, they're advocating for industry standards.
They're
and stuff
ethical,
like that.
all of those
ethical,
things.
all that kind of stuff, making the world a better place. And for-profit companies, technology companies. We're working with a company called Kajit that makes technology that helps schools with Wi-Fi and distance learning, which we all need right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, they just went ding 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 ding.
they're having tremendous growth. So we love working with companies that have a reason to give back and make a positive impact in society.
Right.
A lot of our work is web design and development. So that's web strategy, copywriting, and everything that goes along with that. But because everything touches the web, we end up touching all the other pieces. So we do video and animation, marketing automation, email marketing, pay-per-click advertising, search engine marketing, and things like that, all with the goals. And one of the things we look at is what impact is your website having? And as I say all the time, your website is is the biggest lever you have to make a positive impact in society. Let's make that biggest impact.
Right. And it's so important for businesses. And it's funny, this is kind of a trend now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something we all should have been doing since, caveman times. What is your why? Why are you doing it? And I mentioned the garage door, and I was just fascinated with this young man. He's a millennial. He's, doing wonderful things. And, and he puts in garage doors, which we all kind of go, yeah, at. But his passion is that garage doors make people feel safe.
Yeah.
When your garage door works well, and all of these various things, and and that caught my attention, because it is a garage door, but if it's it makes it's the biggest entry into your home.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe? Is it working? All of those various things. And so that's how he markets things, is we make you feel safe.
Yeah.
And and so that's his why. And I think that's what so many people forget is, sometimes we think our why is to make money. Okay, we've addressed that. We have to do that. That's a given. But what really makes you feel good about what it is that you're doing?
For me and for our team, so I describe myself as being pathologically helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I am there. If you've read, there's a book by Adam Grant about people that are helpful. Somewhere over here, Give and Take. I knew I'd come up with it.
Okay.
Give and Take by Adam Grant.
Mm-hmm.
People that give themselves. I get personal satisfaction out of helping people. Our team gets satisfaction out of helping people. I mean, and here's a good example, the story that Chris likes to tell. One of our clients is Innova Healthcare Systems, which is a large healthcare system here in Northern Virginia. We worked on their website for their heart specialty area. There was a family in Kentucky whose kid had a specific rare issue, and Googled it, and up came the article that we optimized for search. They found the article. They came up here. Their child got life-saving care.
Right.
Our work is complete.
Right.
One of our clients is there's a type of therapy called EMDR, and one of our clients is the EMDR International Association. EMDR is a type of therapy that's really effective for people.
Yeah, it's eye movement.
Eye movement, right? Perfect.
I interviewed an EMDR specialist.
Awesome. So as you know, it's really effective for first responders, people with PTSD.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress.
Post-traumatic stress. Two of our coworkers are Army wives, and I have a friend that is a therapist that deals with people with trauma, and this therapy is life-changing for people. Our team, we burn the midnight hours, many hours, many nights, because we wanted to get the site up and we wanted to get it right because of the healing power that can be achieved through this site. That's why we do what we do.
Right.
And that it's a passion that we all have, and dependent, we all contribute in our own way of tinkering and making something better, just being helpful. But that's what our entire team does.
I love it. And I think all businesses have those things. I mean, one of the examples that you give on your website is the financial advisor, which we all go, yeah, but they're helping plan for their kids' school.
Yeah.
So that's a great why. And you want, the financial advisor wants people to be wealthy. They want them to be independent. They want them to retire early, all those various things, but they're helping their kids go to school.
Helping the kids go to school. And the interesting thing about Barry and Glassman Wealth Services is the fact that Barry also, he says, you might be my client, but when your kids come out of school, they're my client too.
Right. Right.
So he'll actually take the phone call. So he'll take the phone call from the 24-year-old in their first job saying, what do I do with my 401k?
Yeah. They offer me all these things and I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to do.
What am I supposed to do? So Barry is awesome. And the other thing and why they're such an awesome client is they also have in their DNA to give back. Right. They're very involved with a lot of nonprofits, and they encourage their clients to do the same way. So it's that multiplier effect.
Right. And let's be honest, there is a business aspect to that. The financial planner knows that he's got built-in future clients. And so, and when you do something good and it's word of mouth, all those things. But, I love the companies that give back, partially because their employees feel good about it. Many years ago, I worked for the big financial company ING, and one of the things that I managed was their philanthropic stuff. And boy, now we had a big budget. 20 years ago, we had a big budget. But one of the programs that our employees loved the most was going to the local middle school and being math tutors.
Mm.
It's a financial
Mhm.
business. And so most people there were actuaries. Well, I didn't come anywhere close to that, but 2 and 2 don't make 4 for me. But I could make it where everybody could go and tutor those students. And I mean, and it cost us nothing. We
Mhm.
just had to make sure that we had the parameter set up that, it was 2 hours every Wednesday and it was excused from your work and, all those various things. But yeah, I mean, that did far more than if, say, we had bought something for the school, which, we
Mhm.
could have. But yeah, it's that philanthropic stuff that makes your employees feel good about where they are. And then, yeah, it is great to be able to brag about it to the public.
It is. It is something that we actually do a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing more of is reminding our team, because you get caught up in the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, I'm building this page, I'm migrating data, or building
Mm-hmm.
something, and just reminding everyone of the impact
Right.
that we have. I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
good example, one of our clients is a clinical research company.
Mm.
They're working on COVID vaccine
Oh, I
trials.
bet. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's super important work
Mm-hmm.
that they do between healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
endodontists. One of our clients,
Mm-hmm.
American Association of Endodontists, people
Mm-hmm.
that need a root canal, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh my gosh. So when I can tell you, when someone says it's worse than a root canal, that's actually not that bad the way they do root canals
Right.
nowadays.
I know. Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that impact and the ability to just put some good out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we need.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it may or may not even have anything to do with your business.
Yeah.
It could just be that you like to go build homes for Habitat for Humanity. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
But it can also be great team building, all of those things. And then, from the old PR perspective, it's always good to kind of have that in your bank,
Mm-hmm.
because, if people know that you're a good community-minded organization, if there's something that goes wrong, you
You get
might
the
be
benefit.
given the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah,
because
totally.
they know that you're very involved in the community. And, and I know so many businesses that go, oh, but we can't spend the time. We can't do this. You can't afford not to.
You can't.
And
Yeah.
even if you're one person shop, what can you do? What is something little that you can, or big, that you can do that might really make a difference?
So just giving of your expertise.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look out in organizations, I mean, a perfect
Mm-hmm.
example, like I mentioned, my kids are in chorus,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and I became webmaster of the
Mm-hmm.
chorus website. It was a piece of crap when I inherited it. So I said
Mm-hmm.
to the team, I was like, can we redo this? And they just did a quick version of it. We continue to host it for us for
Mm-hmm.
free.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's not, in the big scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
that's not costing us anything,
No, no.
or a little thing. Or
Mm-hmm.
even a friend of mine, we're
Mm-hmm.
doing a virtual course program,
Mm-hmm.
and a friend of mine who does live streaming of
Mm-hmm.
events for associations,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
he's got to pay his people, but he's
Mm-hmm.
basically discounting the fee of
Right.
this
Mm-hmm.
down to just cover his
Mm-hmm.
his
Yeah.
staff,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
And yeah, I mean, that's what it comes back to, is it's the right thing to do. And it's interesting because I think it's kind of, if it makes you feel better, then
hmm
you should be doing it. We never want to be, you don't want to be the person that designed the website that then they say, we need it to do this and we need it to do this and we need it to do this. And pretty soon it's like, ugh,
yeah.
but so there's ground rules, and,
hmm
and things like that you have to have with folks. But yeah, I mean, in this day and age, we need to be doing things a little bit more. It's funny. I posted on Facebook yesterday. I do a post on my personal page that's a Corona funny, and it's memes that have come
hmm
about, and I think I have 50 right now that are in my phone that can be used, and now people send them to me. I mean, it's the funnest thing in the world. And we've been cranky this week, right? And
hmm
as we record this, it's the first part of October. It's not going to air until a little bit later, but we've been cranky. And so I did a post, and it said, "Just be kind." And somebody questioned it. It made me sad. She's, and it was like, really? Oh,
I know we were talking about this before we came on the air. My wife is a second grade teacher,
mm-hmm.
and
Oh
here
yes, and blessings upon her, blessings.
outside of the DC area, they're all doing distance learning.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important for people to remember that this is, and I'm seeing it in her classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it elsewhere. But like, teachers are juggling all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Parents are trying to juggle working from home.
Mm-hmm.
We're juggling having kids around. We're juggling
Mm-hmm.
being cooped up. unsure about the economy,
Mhm.
let's just have some grace with everyone.
Right. Be a little
Let's just be
patient.
kind, like,
Mhm.
so when the dog comes barging in, or the
Mhm.
kid comes barging in on a meeting. I mean, we actually have one of our coworkers. I love when her little kid comes into every meeting because
Mhm.
I get to chat with her. I miss
Mhm.
having kids that
Oh, I
small.
know. Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
be kind, and
Mhm.
everyone's doing their best.
Yeah. Well, and this person that questioned that, I said, at the very least, don't be mean.
Yeah.
You know? And that's kind of, that's a totally separate issue, but it is something where when we can, we need to do good, and
Mhm.
and when it's with our business, that's great. I mean, there's a variety of reasons to be doing it, but we shouldn't really need to have a reason.
Yeah. It's just, I get a lot. I always have. I've always been pathologically helpful.
Hmm.
And so if one of your listeners were to drop me an email and say, "Do you have a question?" I literally did this on a webinar 2 weeks ago. I gave a
Hmm.
webinar. Someone's like, "I don't understand Google Analytics." I said,
Hmm.
"Check out my Calendly link. Book a
Hmm.
half hour with me. We're going to
Hmm.
talk. I'm going to teach you how to use Google Analytics."
Cool.
I'm that's just what I do.
Right.
And
Hmm.
you pay it forward with
Hmm.
people, and they pay it forward,
Right.
and bit by bit,
Hmm.
we help everyone out.
Right.
And
Right.
I just happen to have a skill set that
Hmm. Right.
helps people with their
Yeah.
websites.
And at the very least, one of the things that people can do is they can be a mentor.
Yeah.
Maybe it's to a sixth grader, maybe it's to, somebody in college, whatever. Just, share your wisdom. And even if you're retired, I love it when people say, but we've retired. Well, hello, you probably have some wonderful knowledge that you can be sharing.
I actually heard an interesting twist on that this morning. People in late stages of their career
Mhm.
should get mentors under the age of 30,
Ah.
because the problem is, like, I mean, if we stop and think about it, how we were talking about, like, web strategy and
Hmm.
stuff like that, we
Hmm.
get so caught up in what we do.
Hmm.
Like, get a mentor that's completely outside
Right.
your
Hmm.
socioeconomic and
Hmm.
age group, and talk to them to
Hmm.
understand what they're going through, and
Yep.
have
Hmm.
that, not a mentee, a
Hmm.
mentor,
Right.
someone that
Yeah.
they can
Have them be
understand that,
teaching you.
teaching you
Hmm.
of what they're going through and what
Yep.
they're
Hmm.
experiencing. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea.
I like that. Ooh, now we all have a
Yeah.
challenge. Well, Ray, oh my gosh, we're almost at the top of the hour. See, this is why I set the timer, because we
Yeah.
could just keep going on this forever. But how do people how do they find out more about your company? And then
Yeah.
how do they connect with you?
Awesome. So the best way to find out about our company is on our website,
Mm-hmm.
www.yoko, Y-O-K-O-C-O. So I butchered that. YOKOCO.com, yokoco.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my email address is ray@yokoco.com. So we were talking about search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
I have the most search engine optimized name in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google me, you can find me. Just Google Ray Van Hilst. You'll find me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Drop me an email, and come check out our website. And if you have
Perfect.
any questions, hit us up.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think there's only 3 Deb Creers in the world.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
do pretty good on that. Well, Ray, this really has been absolutely delightful. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave everyone with?
I think just final thought is, just keep in mind, your website is real estate, marketing real
Mm-hmm.
estate that you control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way for you to drive your business, and it's a way for you to put some good back in the world, and tell everyone your story. So embrace that and use your power for good.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm Deb Creer. We've been having a delightful discussion with Ray Van Hilst. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.